Okay, everybody, so today's video is a bit different today. I'm actually going to show you the process of glittering and putting together this tumbler, but this tumbler as it stands at this moment is actually unfinished. So I thought that instead of not having a video today, that I would show you guys the part one of putting this tumbler together and then go live on TikTok today at 3 p.m. to show you guys how I'm going to finish this cup. So a little bit different than what I typically do on my channel, of course, but I couldn't leave you guys hanging and not have a video. So we're still going to get a lot of content in this video. And then of course you'll have to stick around and watch the YouTube live, either join me live or catch the replay so you can see how I finish this tumbler. So I am starting off with a 32-ounce plump with a handle from Tipsy Magnolia. I do have a discount code down in the description box down below. Definitely be sure to check them out. I love the Tipsy Magnolia style cups. You cannot find them anywhere, and they're just unique and one of a kind, and I honestly have a lot of fun designing with them. So I did, after prepping my tumbler, I ended up taking this over to the spray tent and just spray painting it just a green that I had on hand. I do know that the glitter I'm going to be using is going to be a green glitter from Myra Makes It or Baddie Glitter to match the vinyl that I'm using. So you guys know that on my channel, especially recently, I have been doing kind of like these collage style cups, and this is going to be kind of similar, but a little bit different. So I got this idea, gosh, I don't know. I feel like most of my ideas happen at like 3 o'clock in the morning, randomly when I'm supposed to be sleeping, but it's that moment when you get out of bed because you really have to go to the bathroom and pee, and you know that your bladder can't make it until the morning. Whenever I get up to go to the bathroom and come back to bed, I always have a hard time falling asleep. And typically that's where a lot of my Tumblr ideas sometimes show up. They show up when I'm trying to put myself back to sleep, unfortunately. So, there's that. So I am someone who, when I first started out creating tumblers, I did a lot of striped cups because it really was an easy tumbler to do, right? You're doing horizontal stripes. The hardest part of doing those kinds of cups and that style was making sure your tape was straight. Like, that was literally the hardest part. But something that I don't do a lot of is go back to the basics and do a little twist. So instead of doing our horizontal stripes, we're going to do some vertical stripes today with both vinyl and glitter. So I'm still taking that very basic, simple, very early tumbler journey technique, and we're going to do this with a little bit of a twist by adding them vertically versus horizontally. And it's kind of going to look like a cup that tells a story. So this vinyl is from Flynn Sister Supply Shop, and I bought it with a couple of UV DTF. It very much gives fantasy vibes, it gives like, vintage. It gives a lot, this vinyl right here. And I will, of course, link it down below and give you the discount code. But what I love about this is this pattern. The entire pattern or vinyl is an image, which you don't often see, right? A lot of us who purchase vinyl, we typically get vinyl that are seamless patterns. So it has a lot of the elements, but it kind of repeats itself throughout the pattern. But I loved this sheet because I don't often get vinyl like this where it really is an image. And there's just so much that you can do with these kinds of vinyls. And I was like, I'm going to take a stab at that. So what I decided to do is I'm cutting I want to say these are like 1.5-inch strips of the vinyl. And the idea here is that after I kind of sectioned off all of my my horizontal lines, which will be tape or which will be glitter, which did take me a little bit of time because the 1-inch tape going all the way around does not quite meet all the way. So I did have to separate some sections and make some larger glitter sections. But then when I finally got down to cutting my 1.5-inch strips here of vinyl, I love that this is a vinyl that you're going to be able to see the full pattern in between. It kind of gives that, I did a tumbler a while back. It gives the vibe of the Mindbender template. So you can see the vinyl kind of across the cup. And kind of that trippy look, but just a little bit differently. It kind of gives me that vibe, but it kind of tells a story. And so I wanted to create, my goal here, I should say, because of course it's not finished. My goal here is to create kind of a story with this tumbler. It's an idea I've been playing with for a long while. I have dreamed of creating either UV DTF or vinyl or something that you could use together to tell a story. And I just feel like, you know, with any form of art, I should say, with any form of art, right? The goal is to, of course, make something pretty, make something unique, of course. But I also feel like our tumblers very much tell a story. They tell a story of us, or they tell a story of the person who, you know, ordered the custom tumbler, right? The elements that are on the tumbler really tell the person viewing it about the person that owns that cup. And so I kind of wanted to take that a little bit of a step further with this cup and try and tell kind of like a little fairy tale, we'll call it here on this tumbler, like a vintage fairy tale with this design. So you'll definitely have to stay tuned and see how I hopefully accomplish and bring this idea to life. But so far what we have done is we've applied our vinyl. We're finishing up with the last strip here. And so again, I just love kind of the galaxy look, the very vintagey fairy vibes look that I get, like romantic-y style vibes is what it's giving for me. And so I have a couple ideas for what I'm going to add to this cup, and I'm just hoping it all works together. And I think that it will. I think that it will, but you'll definitely have to come back and stay tuned and see what you think of the final result. So once we get the final vinyl strip here applied, I am just going to trim a little bit of that off of where the handle is here, of course, because we want to make sure that we have the handle covered, which will end up being glitter. So I am just going to take the strips of painter's tape that I've already laid on the cup and just put that back over the vinyl so I can cut a nice straight line where the handle is and remove that very small sliver of vinyl there. It's just going to help me keep a nice straight line because goodness knows I can't draw a straight line to save my life. So this tape is certainly helping me thrive and survive right now. So after I've gotten that finished, right, I'm going to pull off all of this excess vinyl here that I don't need on the cup. And then, of course, it's going to be time to glitter. Now, before I can glitter the cup, I do need to protect my vinyl. There are a couple ways that you can do this. You're going to see me take my masking tape or my painter's tape and just reapply it over the vinyl to save a little bit of tape, reuse the tape, of course, but also keep my vinyl clean and free of any debris when we're glittering, if that makes sense. So the other way that you could have done this, and because I like to sometimes work harder and not always smarter, you could have glittered the entire tumbler first if you wanted to, and then come and done all of your vinyl work here. I personally would prefer to do the vinyl and glitter at the same time because in my head, it actually saves me time. Even though it's a little bit more work at the front end, I feel like it saves a little bit of time because I have both the glitter, I have the vinyl on. I don't have to do two steps, right? I can do them together and then I'm already ready to epoxy. So that's just my preference. But if you are someone who doesn't want to have to fight with tape or is worried about ruining your vinyl when you are going to glitter, you definitely could glitter the cup first and then come back and apply your vinyl. So either way works. But again, sometimes for me, I'm like, if I can skip a step or get me quicker to the epoxying process to see the final product, like that's all me. That's all me. So again, I'm going to cover up my vinyl now to be able to do the glittering process here. And the glitter that I'm going to use that you're going to see me do in a bit here is a like dark hunter green. And I'll have to pull I can't think of the glitter name off of the top of my head, but I did get it from Batty Glitter. And it is like dark green, and it is one of my absolute favorite colors to use during the fall time. I feel like it just is so pretty, although it definitely is a color that you could find in other seasons or whatnot. For whatever reason, this green to me always gives me like fall vibes, like spruce tree, wintry fall, kind of vibe. So I'm always using this dark green, and I have quite a few of like the same shade just from different glitter vendors on my shelf because I just love this green around this time. Like it's always when I gravitate towards that, and like a bronzy gold vintage specifically from Peachy Olive Glitter comes to mind. I love that hunter green and that like vintagey brassy gold, coppery gold I should say, together. Oh, it's such a gorgeous look. Such a gorgeous look. And now I feel like I need to take the time to glitter a cup with those two colors. Stay tuned. Maybe that's coming next. So moving on here along the process, I'm putting those tape sections back onto the vinyl. And this again is just going to protect the vinyl from any of the glue, any of the glitter we're going to be using to glitter all of that open space there. So, you know, just taking my time a little bit here, I want to make sure that I get all of the vinyl covered as best I can, even down to the very edges, because I will also be applying glitter to the bottom of the cup. So it just takes a little bit of time to, like, you know, get all of those edges nice and covered. That way we can go in with our glue. So it's time for the glittering process. This is always my favorite part of the process. No matter what video, the glitter part is just my favorite. Do I make a mess? Yes. Is it worth it? Totally. So we're going in with some Mod Podge along those opened green sections so that we can add our glitter. And the glitter we're using today is called Shayla. It is Shayla from Batty Glitter. It is, again, a breathtaking, gorgeous hunter green. If you don't have it, you are missing out immensely. Please go grab it. And you can use my code LishaB to save yourself 10% when you order. Anyway, so we're just going to add our glitter or our Mod Podge all over. All of the exposed green, it's all going to be this Shayla green color. The bottom, the handle, all of the open stripes, all of it is going to be that hunter green, because that really just ties in very much to the background of this vinyl. And of course, if I can add glitter, of course, I'm going to add some glitter. So I've been talking about this a lot, but I am using gloss Mod Podge. And I think I'm going to forever be a gloss Mod Podge girly. I mean, when I'm not using epoxy to apply glitter, of course, but because I just get so much more working time. And I am just someone that I need a little extra working time. Even if I'm just doing one single color, if I can not go in for a second coat, and I feel like I'm like beating a dead horse because I say this all the time. If I can avoid going in with a second coat of glitter, I will. For whatever reason, one coat of glitter for me always looks so much better than when I try and do two coats. When I try and do two coats of glitter, it starts looking clumpy and lumpy, and I start losing the vibe altogether. So I'm gonna stick to my one coat of glitter. Always, 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 if I can do it. If I can do it, I will. Of course, don't forget the bottom of your cup. We need to make sure we get some glitter on the booty as well. Booties matter. So we're going to go ahead and add a coat of the Shayla glitter on the bottom of this cup here before we set this to dry. So when I'm setting my cup to dry, I typically am waiting with this Mod Podge for about an hour to an hour and a half to let this fully dry. 9 times out of 10, I'm working on my cups like it's like 9 o'clock probably. I probably just got off work and I'm literally working on it right now. That's typically when I'm working on cups. So for me, it ends up being overnight before I then epoxy it the next morning. So it's prepared for me when I come back. So I'm going to let this dry. Then you are going to want to spray seal this. So I always forget to show the spray sealing in the videos. And at this point, I actually did run out of clear gloss spray paint, which is what I love to use when I am trying to seal my glitter so that it doesn't, you know, migrate into the vinyl sections. And I ended up having to go back over the glitter after brushing it off very aggressively over a trash can, any of the spare glitter, the loose glitter, I should say. I ended up going back over it with Mod Podge, which actually worked really well, except for in one spot. I don't know if I just didn't let it dry long enough, which totally could be an issue, or if I just kind of lobbed too much on in one section. I ended up with a little bit of a cloudy section. Now, of course, we know that Mod Podge goes on white, but typically dries clear. But unfortunately for me, I just don't think that I think it was me. I don't think I let it dry. I don't typically like to use Mod Podge to seal because it quicker for clear gloss spray paint to dry, which is why I always go that direction. But this time, because I didn't have that clear gloss, I decided to go with Mod Podge to, of course, let this dry. So this is actually the end of the process. You guys are seeing that tape peel, and that is it. I did epoxy this, but you'll have to come back to hang out with me today at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to watch me finish this cup. If you have ideas for what I should add to this cup, definitely comment below and then come see me at 3 p.m. I'll see you guys soon. Bye!